Politics is a lot of talk, and talk is cheap. It's easy for me to talk about building an airplane, but before you applaud me and say, yay, viva Katlego, she's going to build an airplane, the responsible thing to do is to ask, how are you going to do it? What skills, experience, and resources do you have? Why have you not done it all these years? What has changed now? Today, we're going to review talks by Mr. 10%, better known as Mr. Ace Magashule. Welcome to Citizen Concern, where we remind you to beware of the comrades. Please subscribe and follow, like and comment, share and repost. Hashtag smart voters, hashtag Citizen Concerned.
350 is not enough for our people. Our people want jobs. If we give them jobs, they will build their own houses. And that's what ACT is going to do. We don't talk, we act.
When this 350 was started, you were there in the ANC. What did you do? All of a sudden, you think 350 is not enough. It was enough when you were close to being president of the ANC, wasn't it? Why did you not do something about it back then? You were there during former President Jacob Zuma's time, and you were there during President Cyril Ramaphosa's time. But now that you were booted out, eliminated, exterminated from the ANC, all of a sudden the ANC is not sharp. You, Jacob Zuma, and Julius Malema are all the same. The ANC is only wrong because you are not in it. Sounds a lot like so losers to me.
We don't want people who are captured by white monopoly.
But if they are captured by the Guptas, it's all good, it's all right. Some capture is acceptable while some is to be opposed. Your only problem is white monopoly. That's why you will happily work with Jacob Zuma, the president who was captured by the Guptas.
But we'll work with everybody. Let's see how election goes.
What do you stand for, Mr. Ace? Yonkin Sipiyawasha? All of them are welcome, ne?
We'll be here in Velkom, where our kids are involved in drugs. We are here in Velkom, where our people have no food. We are here where the roads are bad and government is quiet.
Velkom is in the Free State. You served as the premier of the Free State from 2009 to 2018. 9 years. Where were you when the drugs entered Velkom and thousands of other communities? Where were you when drugs were being sold in Velkom? If you go to any community, everybody knows exactly where the drugs are being sold. But now is when you want to talk about drugs in Velkom. Now is when you want to fight against drugs in Velkom. If you go to any province, many community members know which people in the communities do not have food, which roads are falling apart. In your 9 years as premier, all you had to do was ask and drive around. Get the people food, get the roads fixed. Please don't act like you have discovered something special that we don't know about. You were in the ANC, pocketing big salaries while people were getting addicted to drugs and some were dying of hunger. You failed to do what the community needed you to do about drugs, jobs, roads, and the hungry. That was in your time in the ANC. Now you want us to believe that you're going to do something that you failed to do back then? You won't do anything about drugs, you won't do anything about jobs or roads or the hungry now.
This area is flooded with sewage. Residents say the smell is unbearable. Most of the residents here are elderly. 98-year-old Khisane Ramate lives in these appalling conditions. He says he's had enough of the situation.
I'm not okay as the situation is very bad for me. I need help.
Residents have lost hope. They say their grievances have fallen on deaf ears and that their dignity has been stripped away.
All that they can do is say, we are waiting for the budget, and the ward councillor doesn't do anything.
Just because you're out of the ANC, you want to act like this is the first time you're hearing about these social ills in South Africa, more specifically in Velkom or in Free State. You want people to blame it on the ANC when you, Mr. Magashule, were the ANC representative in Velkom in Free State.
you have been fingered that as the leader of the province in the past, all this that we see happening now, the sewer all over the places, the bad roads all over the places with potholes, those are your legacies as the leader who has been leading the province, and you have left a mess. What can you say to
the people of South Africa? They know that during our time, the 22 roads, provincially and national roads, 100% okay. 26 townships from Cornelia, Dwelling, Arlington, paved. Ottendal, here where we are, every town, Vredefort, every town paved during our time. We are finishing off all those things.
Okay, so now you say that you were great at doing your job in that province when you were the premier, and yet just a few minutes ago, you just told us that the children in Valcom are involved in drugs. How? Now you're saying you created jobs, but just a few moments ago, you said people in Valcom have no food. If you gave them all these nice things, why are your people without food in Magashule? You just said that in Valcom the roads are bad. Now you're telling us that you did a great job. Please choose a side, Mr. Ace. It's either the conditions are bad or they are not. Which is which? I'm going to believe the first thing that you told us. Things are bad in Valcom because of the ANC, because of you, Mr. Zuma, and Mr. Ramaphosa, who represented the ANC. While people suffered and some citizens paid taxes to fund your lifestyles, your sons were getting PPE tenders. One even made more than 7 million rand in tenders and evaded taxes of 450,000 rands. How many corruption cases have your name all over them? Frieda Dairy Farm, aka Estina Dairy Farm, where you and the Guptas sank more than 250 million rand of our tax money and destroyed the lives of poor aspiring farmers there.
President Jacob Zuma's son, Duduzane, was also implicated. Duduzane was a director of at least one of the Gupta companies involved in the alleged looting. Ace Magashule's son, Chepiso, worked with the Guptas. But the outgoing Free State Premier has reiterated his innocence and that of his son.
What about the asbestos project where you sank more than 200 million rand and chowed the rest with Bo Edwin Sodi, the Guptas, and many other corrupt people?
We have taken our youth throughout the world. We have taken our youth throughout TVET colleges. We have taken our youth. The doctors are here from Turkey, from Russia, from Belarus, Bulgaria, Portugal, Germany.
What about the fact that you failed to pay for their tuition fees? Several students were unable to get their first-year academic transcripts to register for their second-year classes.
There's been no word so far from suspended ANC Secretary-General Ace Magashule's foundation as the government seeks to help students the foundation sponsored to study in Turkey. The Department of International Relations and Cooperation says South African embassy officials in Turkey are helping the students out financially. It says the department has written to the foundation about the stranded students to no avail. The foundation sent the students to Turkey in 2017. We're joined now by Tandu Xolo.
We did manage to track down a number of students stranded in Turkey. One of them mentioned how they had to find a spot in a park, and a security guard had to show them, which part was a bit warmer for them at night, in between two buildings. Where they could be safe and keep warm.
Some of the students were removed from the Turkish universities they were initially enrolled into and moved to public universities. And in all of this, they didn't even get an explanation. You remember the more than 25 million rands not paid over 3 years for the education of the youth that you sent to study overseas. After leaving them stranded, dependent on private donors, now you are bragging about how you send them to study overseas. But it gets even more interesting.
We are going to win elections. Very confident. There's not going to be any rigging of elections. Our eyes are going to be open because we know I've been part of the ANC. We know what's going to happen. And all as black parties, we have met and we have agreed that we are not going to allow any elections to be rigged.
Have you rigged elections before while you were still in the ANC?
No. Now that you see what the ANC is saying, it says if ANC is not in power, people are not going to get their social grants.
What was that? Don't start talking about grants here, sir. Continue with what you were saying. What do you mean you have been part of the ANC and you know what's going to happen? Hey, there you have it, citizens. Please rise up. Can somebody please make sure that the ANC does not rig the 2024 elections? Please. This man has just told us all we need to know.
Maybe we need to change the way to vote. What is this thing of the vote a secret that no one knows? Then it is counted elsewhere. Why aren't the votes of people counted in the full view of the public? I'm sorry, I'm even knocking over things speaking in frustration.
Why was it okay for us to keep our votes secret the first and second time when you were the president? Thank you, Mr. Magashule and Mr. Mbalula, as well as Mr. Zuma. Mr. Mbalula has admitted that they knew that Mr. Zuma's pool was not a fire pool. Now, Mr. Zuma and Mr. Magashule are telling us about the possibility of rigging elections. Anyway, if you haven't registered to vote yet, the 3rd and 4th of Feb are your days to register. Thank you so much for watching. This is Citizen Concerned, where we remind you to beware of the comrades. I'm Katla Ramwahi. Please subscribe and follow, like and comment, share and repost. #SmartVoters, #Citizen Concerned.